After his owner passed away, a loyal dog returned to the cemetery every night. Every night. After the cemetery gates closed, a dog appeared beside the same grave. He didn't bark. He didn't wander. He simply lay there, quietly. For years, the townspeople wondered the same question. Who was the dog waiting for? In the quiet town of Silver Creek, there was an old cemetery on the edge of town. Tall oak trees surrounded it. The wind often whispered through the branches, making the place feel peaceful and still. Most people only visited the cemetery during the day, but the caretaker, Mr. Harold Green, knew something unusual happened there every night. Just after sunset, when the last visitors left and the gates were closed, a dog would appear. He was a medium-sized black dog with patches of white fur on his chest. No collar, no leash. He would walk slowly between the rows of graves, as if he knew exactly where he was going. Then he would stop at one grave, the grave of William Carter. The dog would lie down beside it and stay there until morning. At first, Harold thought the dog was just a stray wandering around. But the strange thing was, this happened every single night. Rain or shine, cold winter nights, windy autumn evenings. The dog always returned to the same grave. Curious, Harold began asking people around town if they knew anything about the dog. One afternoon, an elderly woman visiting the cemetery stopped when she saw the animal lying beside the grave, her eyes filled with tears. "I remember that dog," she whispered. Years earlier, William Carter had lived in a small house near the river. He was a retired firefighter. Quiet, kind, respected by everyone in town. But William had one constant companion, a dog named Shadow. William had rescued Shadow from an animal shelter nearly 10 years earlier. The dog had been abandoned and terrified of people. But William patiently cared for him. Slowly, Shadow learned to trust again. Every morning, the two walked through town together, and every evening, they sat on the porch watching the sunset. Where William went, Shadow followed. The two were rarely seen apart. But one winter, William's health began to decline. He became weaker. Eventually, he was admitted to the local hospital. Shadow waited outside the house for days. Neighbors tried feeding him, but the dog refused to leave the front yard. A week later, the news spread through town. William Carter had passed away. The day of the funeral, many people gathered at the cemetery. Family members, friends, former firefighters, but one familiar face was missing. Shadow. No one knew where the dog had gone. Some believed he had wandered away. Others thought someone had taken him. Life slowly returned to normal in Silver Creek. Months passed, until one evening, Harold the caretaker noticed something unusual. As he locked the cemetery gates, he saw a dog walking quietly toward one of the graves. It was Shadow. The dog lay down beside William Carter's grave and stayed there all night. The next night, he came again. And the night after that. Soon, people around town began hearing the story. The loyal dog who guarded his owner's grave every night. Some visitors started bringing him food. Others left small blankets near the grave during the cold winter months. But Shadow never stayed long during the day. He always disappeared before sunrise and returned again after sunset. Over time, Shadow became something of a quiet legend in town. Children would whisper about him. Visitors who came to the cemetery often looked for the dog everyone talked about. Some people believed he was simply protecting the grave. Others believed he was waiting for his owner to return. Harold sometimes sat quietly on a nearby bench during his evening rounds, watching the dog. Shadow never barked, never chased birds, never left the grave for long. He simply rested his head on the ground beside the stone, as if listening for a voice only he could hear. One winter was especially harsh. Heavy snow covered the cemetery. Temperatures dropped far below freezing. Harold worried that Shadow would not survive the cold nights, so one evening, he placed a wooden shelter near the grave. Inside it, he left a blanket and some food, but when he returned the next morning, the shelter was untouched. Shadow was still lying beside the grave, covered in snow, but still there, still watching. Harold later told the townspeople something that stayed with them for years. "He's not guarding the grave," Harold said softly. He's keeping his promise. Years passed. Shadow grew older. His once dark fur slowly turned gray. His steps became slower. But his routine never changed. Every night, he returned to the same grave. Until one quiet, spring morning, Harold arrived at the cemetery and noticed something unusual. Shadow was still there, curled up beside the grave, peacefully asleep. But when Harold approached, he realized the dog had passed away during the night. Shadow had spent his final moments exactly where he had spent so many nights before, beside his best friend. The town of Silver Creek held a small memorial for Shadow. They placed a simple stone beside William Carter's grave. The stone reads, "Shadow Loyal Friend." Today, visitors to the cemetery often stop beside the two markers, one for the man, one for the dog who refused to leave him. And many people say that if you visit the cemetery at sunset, when the wind moves gently through the trees, it almost feels as if someone is still keeping watch. Loyalty doesn't end when life does. Some bonds are so strong that not even time can break them. Do you think animals understand love and loss the same way humans do? And would you stay loyal to someone the way Shadow did? Share your thoughts in the comments.